Hello and welcome to Tonalist Painting with M. Francis McCarthy. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy. And the painting we are doing today is a study. It is called Rocky Meadow. It's 5 by 5 inches and I did it last year, oh my goodness, July, August. Okay, so, and now some of you were probably expecting to see out of the veil the 10 by 14 larger image. Unfortunately, I really messed that up. I used the wrong preview image in the video. I used the 10 by 14 image on the 5 by 7 painting and did the same thing in the blog. It'd be easy to fix it in the blog, but I cannot fix it on YouTube. And it's really, YouTube doesn't make it easy to replace a video once it's up, so I've decided just to, and then, you know, to try and do the 10 by 14 after, it'd have to have the same image, and a lot of you would think, well, I already saw this, so blah 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 blah. Long story short, it's just too convoluted, so I decided, well, we'll just let that one go slipping off into infinity, you know, and start over. So in fact, Rocky Meadow, this 5 by 5, I was thinking, well, maybe I'll just do the big one, which is really awesome. And actually, I think it's going to be shown somewhere in the US if it hasn't already. Nice painting, and as is the little study though, and I've got the little study up on one of my display tables in my studio, in the little gallery section I have there, and a lot of people really liked it, so I thought, well, why give it short shrift? We'll just bail on Out of the Veil, and here we are into Rocky Meadow. So there you go. Sorry about that. I don't really make those kind of mistakes too often, but whatever. So what were we talking about when I actually went and did an entire video for Out of the Veil, which will never be seen or heard, but that's okay. Where I've made this, I'm going to be doing these 15 paintings on this burnt umber, which has been painted over the top of some 15 unsuccessful failed paintings, and it's very much like a dark chocolate type of tone. And I did this a couple weeks ago on a painting, and it was really, you know, it was weird as I was painting it. I felt like I didn't know exactly where I was headed, and things were acting a bit different, but it was kind of exciting and stimulating, and which is good. Every now and again you want to change things up, and so I've decided, I'm kind of impulsive in that, or not impulsive, I would say intuitive might be a better word. Every now and again something will come into my mind and I'll just pursue it, and even though I've been doing something else for a long time, I will change, and that's kind of the story about why I'm here in New Zealand. Many people would never have predicted that. They said, well, he's just a stable guy, he's always going to be there in San Jose, California, he's never going anywhere, and lo and behold, here I am in New Zealand, you know, and actually a citizen of New Zealand. So I am capable of extreme radical change. It takes me a while, and when I do, you know, I do it with full fervor and gusto. And I'm not saying I'm going to paint on burnt umber from here to the end of time. I really like painting on burnt sienna. I really like that red tone, and we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. The thing is, like, to paint the burnt sienna over the top of an old painting. Actually, what I've been doing on the old failed paintings is that I would just start a new painting right on top, but it gets a little confusing, it gets a little disorienting, because you see the old painting below while you're doing the new painting on top. And so the other week I just had this idea to come in my head to go ahead and do the burnt umber, and I was really happy with that painting, and so I'm committing to it for the next 15. Which hopefully they'll all be really awesome, and they're all going to make it into my museum show. As I stated yesterday, that show is going to be July 21st through August 20th out here in New Zealand, Whangarei. We have a real nice museum here, so I'm pretty excited. I won't be, of course, taking over the entire museum, but I'm getting 3 really big walls, and it's going to be a pretty major show, probably the biggest show of my life so far. So. And I've got some things lined up for it. It's 3 months away, so I'm hoping to have some even better things. And one of the things that I've kind of thought about doing with this these burn number redos is to revisit some scenes and motifs that I've painted smaller back when I first came out here to New Zealand. So I've got some pretty cool stuff lined up, and you know, I'm pretty excited about it, as you can tell, because I was talking about it yesterday, and here I'm still rambling about it today. But keep in mind, there's a reason why I say my usual rambling narration, and that's because that's exactly what it is. It's just me rambling off the top of my head, folks, and just giving you a bit of a slice of life for this landscape painter over here in my little corner of the world. And hopefully you're getting some value from it. I know we've been growing subscribers, and we're getting the word out about tonalism, and getting this sort of art in front of the kind of people that it's going to resonate with. And I think that's a lot of people. I really, but it's taken a while. Now, I want to mention here, by the way, I just received my copy of A History of American Tonalism, 1880 to 1920, and it looks identical to the best of my ability to discern. I haven't actually got a copy of the old one and went page by page. I may do that at some point. It's always a challenge to find time to do all the things that I'd like to do, so I have to admit that's not too high up on my list. But if you don't own that book, it's back in print, and it's totally awesome. It's a great book. It's probably the best. I have, you know, hundreds of art books in my collection, and I have to say it's the best of them. It's beautifully written. It's written like poetry. I have to say that David A. Cleveland is an amazing writer. It's all color reproductions. It's just awesome. And if you don't have it, you know, pause the video, go to Amazon, and buy it. It's going to be the best. I'm probably going for 80 bucks American now. It'll be the best 80 bucks you ever spent on an art book, that's for sure. You won't regret it. And I'm hoping that they've learned their lesson. They'll just keep it in print until you know, the entire world is aware of and digging tonalism. Yeah, some of you have been reaching me by email. I like that a lot. It's great. I will, you know, respond. Sometimes I can't respond right away because I'm sure, like you, we're all a bit time challenged. But I will get back to you. I will respond, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate finding out about these other tonalist painters out there and seeing your work. And it's really exciting. I think it's time, you know, for a resurgence of this movement. You know, tonalism back in the 1880s was a response in large part to the Civil War, and people wanting to get back to a more quiet, rural sort of environment, at least in the paintings in their homes, you know, and you know, also a response to the industrial age. And you know, you're talking about a population that was mostly rural, gradually moving into the cities and becoming a part of the, you know, industrial revolution. And tonalism was a response to that, and the horrors of the Civil War, of course. And but in spite of all that, it's also to me represents, you know, on one side you've got a yin and a yang. You've got the culmination of landscape painting in the form of Impressionism, both the French Impressionists and the American Impressionists. But on the other side, the dark side, I don't know if that's yin, I think that's yin. You have the tonalism, which is not as concerned with the glorious light effects that Impressionism was getting across, but more with conveying a quiet poetry and a depth of soul and meaning that you know, it's really time for people to get back to, I think. And I know when I came across it, I was like, well, that's what I want to do. And I set about teaching myself how to paint in a toneless way. It wasn't until, 5 years later that I came across, I think it was Dennis Sheehan. He had some videos up at that time, and he also had an academy on his website, and he was teaching tonalist painting, and I certainly got a few things off of Dennis. But you know, by then, fortunately for me, I'd already was well into my own working methods and hoeing my own row. And I think that's important as an artist. We don't want to ape other artists. even in my 25 Days of Tonalism project, I don't set out to ape these guys. I'm doing an impression of their painting, and I'm trying to learn and absorb the best aspects of their work that resonate with me, and that that I want to bring forward into my own work. Looking at the folder where this image came out of, there's a painting in there that's got painted over. It was called Long Way Around. It's gone now. It's going to be gone. And it is gone. I painted a bunch of burnt umber right over the top of it last week. So, interesting. Anyway, hey, we're getting close to the end. Thanks for joining me today. Click subscribe if you like this channel. That's awesome. Keep coming back. You can go see more of my work at landscapepainter.co.nz. You can follow my blog through there, and I'm going to be back next week with another one of the 25 Days of Tonalism and the larger version of this painting. So meanwhile, take good care and stay out of trouble.